Catch it.
Yep, that's Champ, the world's goodest boy. I bet you're wondering how we got a dog like this. Well, he's spent about every day with me for the last 2 years, and we just practice. We play. We have a good time. Here he's listening to the commands: sit, lay down, roll over. Here's a rollover coming. We have voice commands and hand signals. That's just something that, I worked on him with so he could, listen to both based on any scenario. But his patience is really cool to me. So here we throw out treats and I'll leave the room. I sped this clip up so he actually waits until I come back. And then when I come back in, I give him a hisk command and he'll go get his treat. And super fun dog. Gets the zoomies. He jumps over everything off of objects in the gym. He thinks he runs the joint, but he's part of the family. And I just can't imagine life without the guy. I don't know how you have a dog and um, not love him. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Champ.
That stuff matters, carved in stone. Every stitch and every tone. Living, loving, grinding through all the nerdy things we do.
What's up, everybody? That Stuff Matters, episode 11. We're coming at you from the gym today. We haven't done this one before, but here's our little abode, our little man cave, if you will, our little powerlifting gym. We have a very special guest. Our good pal is with us today. See if he'll cooperate. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Mr. Champ. I love him. He's my best buddy, and he's with me every day. He was the kids' Christmas gift. But, a lot of times when the kids get a fun animal for the holidays, that new wears off. And then where do they go? What do they do? So I said, I'm going to bring him to work with me every day. So that's what we do. And he hangs out with me. I'll show you some of the fun we have in the mornings and him just being him. Very high energy. He's usually all over the gym. He's running around, jumping on everything. He thinks he is the owner of every piece of equipment in here. He can't always be with me over in the print side of things because he just gets hair. He gets hair in things, and you never want some hair under the lamination or in print, or minimize it on the apparel, things like that. But I can't imagine a day without him. He's just become that close to me. And pets are amazing. They really are. They become part of the family, and you don't even really realize it or understand how they get so attached to you and then you to them. But this is us most days, and it's just been fun. It's been fun since he's joined us, and we allow other members to bring their dogs in. Champ's very playful, and the only negative, honestly, is the hair. So, but that is just a little bit of vacuuming. You got to do your due diligence. But wanted to come, and just let you guys meet Champ. This is a episode about the animals today, as you'll find out. And I just thought, what a great opportunity for everyone to meet Champ. He is literally lounging on the deadlift platform. This is him. He thinks he runs the joint. Maybe he does. Well, no, Courtney does. I'm not going to lie. But I'll be honest. I had recorded an intro for this episode. This is probably like my fourth one. So it'd be like record, I didn't like it, start over, record, I didn't like it, start over. Yesterday, I thought I had one that I really was okay with. Make sure my mic was on. But last night, I had an experience that just changed. I said, you know what? I got to switch this up. I got to do something different. I was in Walmart, and I just passed somebody in an aisle. It was a mom and a small child, and didn't think anything of it. And then as I passed them, I heard the little boy yell, "Hey!" And I turned around and he said, "I like your podcast." That was awesome. Made my day for sure. And I went back, gave him a high five. I actually gave him a high five probably 3 or 4 more times in the store. But what a freaking cool experience. Um, just to know that one, people are watching, but two, that some people enjoy it enough to say hello in public, and people that I don't normally see or speak to. So that was really cool, and I wanted to give them a shout out. He also said, young kid, but he's interested in wrestling. So we got to get him over in the BPWC and let him experience that. So um, I just, you never know in life. You never know the things you're doing, what will and won't work out. But I just appreciate you guys. It means a whole heck of a lot. Thank you. Um, you know, I just, I never would have imagined um, that my ideas for the podcast were something that other people might be like, yeah, we'll get behind that. So again, I can't say it enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Big weeks ahead. We just update for the fam. Haven broke her ankle, that playing basketball. That was fun. It's fractured, but she's been in a walking boot, slowly getting better. I think she's going to get that thing off pretty soon. Emerson is the biggest handful of my life, but she spends most of her days at the pool, and she has a incredible tan and some incredibly curly blonde hair. She looks identical to how my daughter Kaylee looked. I will try to flash up a picture of those two side by side. It's eerie. Xander, middle of football. Football team's looking good. I mean, 7-on-7 has been doing really well. Skill players are really holding it down. But next week they have the full camp at Simpson. So that's full pads, full go. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you guys so much for donating and spreading the word about that football fundraiser that we did for the equipment. I think we have gotten really close to our goal. So I think we're going to make that happen. The football team thanks you. I know they do. And Kaylee, she's coaching. She got the position to coach middle school basketball at Oak Grove. She also coaches track, and she coaches Haven's summer ball team. So I never in a million years would have thought all those years I coached her and just screamed at her and her teammates that she just loves basketball so much that she wanted to do that. And I just think that's cool. So shout out to Kaylee. Other than that, we're just going. I am trying to get the lights going in the park. I just got to finish getting my power. I got to dig a trench, and I've just been busy, but I got to dig a trench. We got to get some power up there, and the park's going to be lit up. So we're going to have the string lights. There's going to be lights above the Welcome to Downtown Brookfield. All color coordinating is the plan, all from the same manufacturer. And then we'll add lights to the center tree. That's going to glow. And then once we have grass and we can kind of situate where the cornhole is going to go, there'll be some park lighting out there too. So hopefully we're going to maybe put a outdoor speaker out there, so there'll be some sound. Maybe play the sounds of 96.9 KZBK or 99.1 KDWD. Just a lot of stuff coming. We're excited. This week's episode is a special one because I think it's needed. The Lynn County Animal Shelter. We went out there, took a look around, and we were lucky that Angie Murrell came in, and she gave a full breakdown about the animal shelter, how it works, how overloaded they constantly are, all the calls they're getting weekly, daily to relinquish dogs that they are, full and they cannot, the needs out there. It's donation based. They get a very small amount of money from the city of Brookfield and the city of Marceline when they're a yearly fee for taking in dogs, but it's not enough to even pay one employee. It's not enough to pay for supplies. It just needs our help. So help can be in a lot of ways. So you can actually donate money, which is awesome. They have ways to do that through their Facebook page. You can go to Stripe and do like monthly donation amounts. But even more so, you can volunteer. You can go out and play with the animals. You can get them out of their cages. You can interact. You can foster an animal. You can adopt. You can volunteer to just walk dogs. You can just help them with their need for the month of the week, whether that be kitty litter or bleach or who they'll tell you. They will tell you what they need, and you can just share their content on Facebook. They're posting the animals that are there, the things they've got going, and just be a part if you can in any way. Share that stuff. So thankful. Without further ado, this week, let's hear it from her, Angie Murrell, and the story about the Lynn County Animal Shelter.
There's a place in Lynn County that needs a hand. Four paws waiting for a promised land. They wag their tails, but they can't speak. Hey buddy, hey pal, they need you this week. Help a tail wag, help a heart heal. Give 'em love, give 'em kibble, give 'em something real. Adopt a pup or a whiskered friend. Make the story start where the sad days end. Volunteers with a mop and a smile. Take a leash for a stroll just a little while. Donate $1 or donate your time. Every little bit makes the world feel fine. They're not asking for much, just a shot at a life. A soft warm bed and a home without strife. Help a tail wag, help a heart heal. Give 'em love, give 'em kibble, give 'em something real. Adopt a pup or a whiskered friend. Make the story start where the sad days end. Lynn County's calling you with meows and wolves and a dream or two. Open your heart, let 'em in your space. Turn your house into their safe place.
What's up, everybody? Episode 11, and I have a very interesting and needed episode, in my opinion, today. I want everyone to meet Angie Murrell with the Lynn County Animal Shelter.
Hi, everybody.
The animal shelter is a place that I know people think of in town, but I don't know that everyone understands how it works and all the things that go into it, the thought, the labor, the volunteers. Man, it's just an organization that is probably misunderstood. Would you agree?
I agree.
So tell us the kind of the mission of the shelter.
Our mission is to take in and care for as many animals as we can, but also to be outreach to the community as far as learning and helping people understand the spay and neutering is so important
Mhm.
for our animals, and just do the best we can for our county, but not only our county, we're also take care of Sheraton County. They don't have a shelter
Oh,
in
really?
all of Sheraton County, so
I
we
didn't
get a
realize
lot of
that.
theirs. We actually take in animals from all the surrounding counties because most shelters around are in the same position that we
Mm,
are. After COVID, the shelters all got full. Everybody got animals during
mhm.
COVID, and then everybody went back to work and
Couldn't take care of
couldn't take care of them
them.
or just turned them loose. So it's a real problem.
Man. So what is your official title there at the shelter?
I am interim board president. I sit on a board with 8 other people, and then we have a couple people who just are there kind of as guidance
Mhm.
for us. And
So there's 8 board members, and then how many employees do you have out there?
We have 4 employees that are nobody is full-time out there. Everybody's somewhere between 30 and 40 hours a week.
Okay. Um, what's so for the volunteers, like the board members, volunteers, the staff members, what's a typical day look like out there?
Summer hours, 12:30 to 6 o'clock,
Mhm.
and every other Saturday. Julie Brees is our manager,
Mhm.
and she'll come in. She does all the intakes and all the adoptions generally. We have a couple other girls that fill in at the desk as well when Julie's not there. But it's everything from feeding. Kennels are cleaned every day, cats and dogs. Currently, we have 36 cats because it is
Whoa,
kitten season, and we have 26 dogs
man.
right now. 3 are at the Puppies for Parole program, though, and 2 are being fostered. But all the kennels have to be cleaned every day. All the animals have to be fed. All of them who need vaccinated that day get vaccinated.
Can you even like quantify how many animals you might see in a year?
Last year, from July 1st to July 1st of this year, we had 138 cats that came through the shelter. 117 were adopted.
Okay.
But currently, like I said, we have 36
You have a lot right
cats
now.
because of kitten season. 26 of the or 25 of those being kittens and the rest adult cats.
Okay.
Dogs, last year we had 140 dogs come through the shelter. 76 were returned to owners. So, like they were brought in by animal
Mm-hmm.
control or somebody found them, brought them in. They were returned to owners, and 54 were adopted.
Okay. Well, it's kind of interesting to hear you quantify it. That's a lot of animals to take care of.
It is. It is. And this was the first year we really had a good running total of how many in and out. We've got a new updated computer system, and that's helped
Okay.
us a lot.
And how long have you been there?
I have been there for 3.5 years as a volunteer. Started out doing photos for Facebook, and then kind of started helping with the Facebook page, and then got asked to join the board.
Mhm.
And then when our previous board president stepped down, they asked if I would fill in until they could find somebody else.
Okay. So you've been there quite a while. I'm sure you've had several animals come through there that kind of tugged on your heartstrings.
Definitely.
Is there like a success story or like an animal that came through that you just really remember?
There's so many that I have cried for happy tears when they've gone out to adopted homes. My one right now, because it's the most recent, is Louise. Louise has been in our shelter the longest. She's been there for a little over 2 years now.
Oh,
She's actually it's not a full success story yet, but she's actually supposed to be adopted next week and going to be going to the Puppies for Parole program before she actually goes to her new home.
okay.
So she's been the one, like I said, she's been at our shelter longer than any animal has since I've been there. And I would take
And-
her home with me, but
What type of animal is she?
she is a mixed breed, medium size, just black, solid
Oh.
black, curly tail. But she has the sweetest personality. She is one who has to have something in her mouth at all times. When
Mhm.
she first came to the shelter as a pup, you'd go through and feed them. Next time you take somebody back to meet the dogs, she's sitting there with her food bowl in her mouth, trying to convince them we're not feeding her, but we do feed her. But she's one who's also only known life in the shelter. She was brought in as a puppy. She's just now 2.5 years old, and she's one who's been more content most time they get once they've been in the shelter in the cage
Mhm.
so long, even though they can go inside and outside, get what you call kennel crazy, and she's almost content being there.
Oh.
That's all she's ever known. So
Man, I can just see though the connection you have like with the animals that are coming through there. The So my family and I, we just went to watch Superman yesterday, and the reason this comes into play is the best part of that movie was they had Crypto, the super dog, in there,
Mhm.
and there was just when I was watching that dog, it just made me think of my dog and the mannerisms, and you just become so emotionally connected to these animals.
It is yeah, it is amazing how you can connect with animals. They each have their own personality.
Mhm.
I mean, even cats, cats are pretty self-sufficient
Yeah.
and they don't care if you're there or you're not most of the time, but you do get those that are, they have their own personality and for some reason they just
Mhm.
tug at your heartstrings. Not that oh, I'm not an animal lover of all animals, but there's ones that are special.
Yeah, and you just can't control that. And
No.
I'll have some more questions about that later. But um, so you kind of quantified for us all these animals you have in there right now. Can you like put some cost to us as far as what does it take to take care of these animals? I mean, that has to add up.
It does, and we actually have one of the cheapest adoption fees in the state of Missouri. Our dogs at a normal rate is 125,
Okay.
and that's puppies, adults, everything. Cats are $40, kittens or adult cats. Um, our cost generally, if a dog is there just for 3 months at a time, is about $100. That's if they're a healthy animal. That pays for their spay and neuter. That pays for their updated vaccines. That's just if they're there 3 months.
Hmm.
Pays for food. Um, just that really doesn't even factor in the cost of the cleaning the kennels, paying
Sure.
somebody to do all that kind of stuff. Cat on average, even though our adoption fee is only $40, cats usually cost us between 42 and 45 if they're there for only 3 months.
Wow.
But we're not there to make money. We're there to give these animals find them new
Right.
homes and it becomes a factor of you're spending more money the longer you keep them. So
Hmm.
if you keep your rates low, our like I said, our goal is to get these animals homes,
Yeah.
not to make money from an adoption
No,
fee.
and I think that's so important what you said, and I hope everyone that's watching realizes that when you go to adopt there, that fee, you're not just buying that dog, you're helping fund the everything that took to take care of that dog and to take care of the next dog that comes through because
Absolutely.
that's where those adoption fees really come into play and how important they are.
It is.
Man, so those costs kind of add up, and is there like a main source of funding? Is it all donations?
We are all donation based, other than City of Brookfield, because we take all the animals from animal control in. They do give us a yearly amount.
Hmm.
Um, does it cover all the animals that are brought in? No. I mean, last year, uh, over half of our dogs were brought in by animal control. City of Marceline also gives a little because they bring all their animals to
Hmm.
us too, who are brought in. Um, like I said, we are really
Yeah.
donation. We rely fully on donations. We do have fundraisers. We have three main fundraisers a year.
Okay.
That's our garage sale we hold at the Elks every year in October. We have a golf tournament. Uh, s- I, I believe it's going to be in September this year over at the Marceline Golf. And then our third one is our trivia night, which is also held over at Marceline. And those
Okay.
are our three major fundraisers. Um, we've recently seen an uptake in funds, donations coming in from memorials. People pass
Yes,
away,
certainly.
and that has been a big help. There's also some people who do monthly,
Hmm.
$10, $20 a month,
Yeah, and it all adds
coming in.
up.
It does. We recently had somebody donate some property that had a lot of estate items in it that you've seen us post on Facebook. We sold them, kind of auctioned them off on Facebook, and every $5 we made, the girls are like, that's a lot of work for you to do. Time you take a
Mm.
picture, you make sure it gets delivered or make sure it gets picked up. But every $5 makes a difference to us.
Yeah.
When I started, it was, the funding, we didn't have a lot of donations coming in, and we were robbing Peter to pay Paul some months to
Mhm.
even make it by. And graciously, people allowed us to do that. The vets and stuff who knew we would pay them, but it may not be this month. And that's why, people who are new to the board don't realize what it was like when we had to do that. And
Mhm.
every $5 makes a
Well,
difference
that
to
was going to be
me.
my next question was what do you do when the donations are dry and your funds are low?
you
It's
know, we we as a board, sometimes if we see there's something that we have to have,
mhm.
we'll take it out of our own pocket and go and do that. But you can only do that
So
so
much.
much as
Yeah.
well. But we reach out to a lot of places. We've applied for several grants in the time I've been there and stuff, and we have gotten several grants. There's even been some local grants that we've received and stuff, but it gets tight sometimes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and that's why when we put something out there on Facebook that we really need this item or really need that item, you may think, well, that's a thing of bleach. That's $5 or whatever. Well, like I said, $5 is $5 some
Yes.
days.
That's why those small donations really matter because it may buy one item, but that item might last, a couple weeks,
It,
a month. You never know.
yeah.
So those are really important. And I don't think people they just don't quantify typically when they're thinking about these things that you've got utilities, you've got payroll, you've got the supplies, you've got vet care
Yes.
that all
Yeah.
boils into it. I know I'm missing stuff, so that
Well,
adds up. Boom, boom, boom.
it does. It does. And utilities out there are very high. We use a lot of water. We use a lot of electricity, especially, I mean, the heating and cooling alone, where in the back runs where the dogs are, there's 22 runs that you can go inside and outside. There's flaps on the doors, but every time then dogs go in and out,
Hmm.
you're letting heat and air out. And, we don't keep it at a 70 degrees in the back during the summer all the time because you can't. But we want to keep it comfortable where they can be inside when it's 100 degrees outside and still
Yeah.
still stay healthy.
So how old is that building? It's been out there a long
That
time?
building was built in 2003.
Hmm.
They did there's 22 dog kennels, as I said, and then two what we call ISO kennels back there. They did do a remodel 15 years ago, roughly,
Hmm.
where they just on the inside, not the outside cages, where they put in some the new gates and stuff like that. Each kennel is separated by brick cinder blocks because you got to be careful if you get a dog who's sick
Oh.
up at the front. You
Hmm.
can't be washing the water on down to the next dog and get them sick as
Sure.
well. Our outside kennels on the outside of them are not separated by the cinder blocks, and so that's a big process. But when you consider, if you think about 15 years and we had 140 dogs just last year
Hmm.
alone, uh, all them kennels are full all the time. The gates wear down.
Hmm.
At this point, we're kind of piecing stuff together to make it work to
That's a lot of
keep
wear and
dogs
tear
in.
for
It
like for
is.
daily care
It
of
is
animals.
a lot of it.
Which rolls right into my next topic. I mean, you do have a upcoming remodel scheduled because there are so many things out there that need taken care of and
We
replaced,
do.
right?
We do. We are in the process of getting. We're going to have new. All the concrete needs to be sealed
Mm-hmm.
again because that's a big. Concrete's hard to keep up and that
Right.
many dogs in that area. We need all new fencing, all new gates on the doors on the kennels and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. We want to add a little bit of a safety feature with they have doors now instead of the chain link fence. They've got the um, wire or the metal. It's metal to where the dogs can't get through. Like
Oh,
if somebody would
yep.
stick their hand in, I just went blank on the name of it, But they also have dog bowls on the bottom where you can spin them in and spin them out, so you don't
Okay.
actually have to have contact if we've got, because we do get animals that are there for bite
Sure.
holds. And
So that's a safety thing.
it is very much a safety thing for our employees because we had one not too long ago that was on a bite hold, and we put on his cage, due for people who go in the back. Of course, an employee's always
Mm-hmm.
with them unless they're a frequent volunteer, that don't stick your fingers in there. He never he would definitely kind of growl and give you the sense to
Mm-hmm.
stay back, but this would prevent us having to worry about anybody getting bit
Man, yeah.
ever. And those aren't dogs that we keep. Those are dogs that we're helping house for the city of either Brookfield or Marceline, whoever has them in there for a bite hold. You know, dogs that have bit more than one time and stuff like that. It becomes a safety factor for our staff. You don't
Mm-hmm.
want to adopt a dog out who is
Sure.
known for biting, and when we do get those kind of dogs in, they're special, um not really reserve, but places that we've even sent dog clear out to the East Coast. There's a place out in Maryland. We had a dog that had behavioral problems. It happened to
Oh,
be a pit. We were able to send it out there, and they took that kind of dog for us. Sorry,
man.
kind of got off topic there,
No, I didn't even think
but
about all that stuff.
um, but as far as the kennel remodels, it's going to be probably around a $50,000 project. If
Yeah.
that's our early rough guesstimate, it'll probably end up obviously costing a little bit more than that. But we also just got our play area built out back.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually putting in the special turf today that will totally finish it up. That
Oh,
is a
so
big
cool.
60 by 60 area that's got a gate down the middle so that we can let dogs in one side, and in the other side let
Oh.
them play, because we do have dogs that aren't spayed and neutered yet
Mm-hmm.
and dogs that are, and that way we can keep them separated. But that is going to be a big benefit for our community as well, because eventually our plan is to hold some basic obedience training classes
Okay.
out there and stuff, where people could volunteer to handle a couple of our dogs, but also it would kind of be paid for through people wanting to bring their dogs for basic
Yeah,
obedience. So
that's
we've
a
got
great
we've
way
got
to
some people
expand on that.
lined up that want to do that. But that project was right around a $50,000 project
Mm-hmm.
from start to finish. It did take us about 2 years to get that done, but
Man,
the finishing touch is being put on today. So
that's just a ton of money. Because I'm involved with a lot of organizations, and I'll tell you, it's hard to raise
it
$10,000.
is.
So if you start thinking about you're trying to raise 50 or 100, you're going to need a lot of help.
You do, and it's honestly, Facebook has been wonderful for us, but there's a lot of door knocking and talking to businesses, and talking to our frequent donors and stuff. And sometimes when you have a specific project that you're wanting to get worked on, you're able to, okay, this is what the money exactly is going for. Would you be interested?
Yeah, it helps people have a better connection and understand what they're actually giving to.
It does, because you can see it. Whereas feeding the dogs and the basic stuff like that, people don't. Yes, they know you have to feed the dogs, but they don't think about all the minute details, as all the vaccines we got to give
Mm-hmm.
and all that kind of stuff on a daily basis. So,
Man, that's that's a lot to take on for sure. How can the community? How could they donate? They just
we
contact you directly.
Well, they can, like I said, the shelter's open Tuesday through Friday, 12:30 to 6 for summer hours. They're able to stop by there to give donations. We have what we call it's Square app through our Facebook page. You can go in there and set up to either donate monthly or do a one-time donation.
Oh, right there
Um,
through Facebook,
yep,
just digitally.
yep. Or you can certainly reach out to me anytime.
Yeah, awesome. So I I'm sure because you guys see social media and there's people complaining about dogs here and dogs there, blah blah blah. What's a common misperception you have out there, like that you think people get wrong a lot?
People don't understand that we can't just take in every dog. We have to be inspected by state every year. Where, and you heard me say, we only have 22 kennels that are indoor and
Mm-hmm.
outdoor for dogs, and then 2 isolation kennels.
Will the remodel add to that?
The remodel will not add to that, because if we built 100 kennels out
Mm-hmm.
there, I have no doubt that they would be full within a month. We, on average, a day get no less than 4 to 10 calls wanting to relinquish a dog. Cats, we still get a lot of those, but not near as many as dogs, because dogs are
Mm-hmm.
higher need than what cats are,
Yeah.
require more than what cats are. But like I said, every shelter around is is full. I mean,
And
you
the problem with just adding more, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but the problem with just adding more kennels would be you now have taken on more dogs, but you don't have more staff, you don't have more money, you don't have more um, supplies. I mean,
that's 100% right.
you
Yeah,
can only take care of so many.
you can. And even though we want to save them all, there's been times we've taken them home with us until we've gotten an opening to be able to bring them to this shelter. We'll foster them until
Mm-hmm.
we can. And we need fosters. We do have several good fosters and stuff, but we always need more fosters, or just something as simple as taking a dog home for the weekend. We allow that. If you've
Oh,
got a
really?
free weekend that, hey, I'm just going to be around the house or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, come and get a dog, or even a cat. I mean, we don't get as many cat fosters, because I guess because they don't need as much activity as what a dog would.
Well, cats are
But you
harder to
can,
wrangle.
they are.
Mm-hmm.
And the dogs, they would love to get out for a couple days. We have some wonderful dogs that would,
That's a great
that
opportunity
just,
for a lot of you listening, that you could just, go just take a dog for the weekend and
you
have fun.
could. I mean, you can come out now with our new area out back. You can come out, throw a ball with the dogs. We're going to get some shade put up back there
Mm-hmm.
because there is no trees. So it is pretty hot right now. So we understand we don't have a lot of dog walkers coming out right
Mm-hmm.
now. But, you know, be thinking about that on a nice day. Come out. You can take out a dog. It's a fenced in area. Just show them some attention is all they want. You'll go back in the kennels and everyone's barking, and it's not because they're not fed or because they're abused. They just want your attention.
Yeah.
They just think about your dogs at home, how much you love on them. These dogs, unfortunately, we can't give them that much.
Yeah.
That much.
And I totally get it. Um, but like I can tell just listening to you that you're passionate about it. And I know some of the other employees that come in here, they're very passionate about it. And like I said, with me with my dog, you get so close to them.
We
Like,
do.
there's got to be an emotional toll that happens. It's, on you and the employees when you're working with these animals and you see them stuck there forever, or you're just unsure of what's in their future, or there's dogs you can't take in. Is that a hard aspect of the job?
It is, and that's one of the main things anytime we hire anybody, I'm upfront about that. This job most days is full of rainbows and butterflies, but there is days you go home and you're sobbing because, you know, we've puppies are the main ones that get brought in that have parvo, and
Mm-hmm.
of course they're in isolation, but we won't know until it's about too late. We vaccinate them as soon as they come in, but if they're already infected with that, and we've had a couple times where I've gotten there, I always stop in early morning just to kind of do my
Mm-hmm.
morning check. And, I've gotten there, they've been brought in by animal control through the night, and they're a lifeless little puppy, and
Oh,
you'll pick them up and wrap them in a blanket and get them to the vet as quick as you can. But there's times they'll die right there in your arms because, and that kind of goes to the spay and neuter. If you're not going to take care of your animals, it could have been prevented had them puppies had shots, but somebody had litters of puppies and
yeah.
turned them loose, and then that also becomes a factor at the shelter. We have to be so careful because that parvo gets on your shoes. You got to walk through bleach buckets to get to the back.
Yeah.
It creates a whole mirage of problems, but it can. You want to save every one of them, and you feel terrible telling people no on the phone, but and people get upset. People get
Oh, I
mad.
bet.
I mean, and they'll badmouth us on Facebook when we say the shelter is full, but sometimes my question to them really wants to be, so do you want me to go have to put down one of the dogs that we currently have
Mhm.
so that I can make room for your dogs? And
And
I don't want to be ugly like that, but when they get real hateful with you, sometimes that's just what you want to
yeah.
ask them.
And it just, I'll be honest, it just kind of pisses me off because they don't understand that while they're frustrated in that moment and then that one interaction with you, that negative that they've put out there, if someone else reads that, that negativity spreads.
That
And
does.
now as the negativity spreads, maybe someone who would have been likely to help, volunteer, donate, adopt, they may not do that now just because of one thing they read
And
from someone on
and
Facebook.
we have seen that, and I've talked to people in the community regarding that. They said, well, we've seen this or that, or somebody had one bad experience out there, and they shared it to all their friends, and
Hmm.
and all of that. And I really try to go in, and if I see something such as that on Facebook, I won't be a warrior keyboard or
Yeah.
keyboard warrior and go back typing things back. I'll reach out to him personally and say, through Messenger or whatever,
Hmm.
hey, what can I do
Yeah.
to resolve this problem? Or is it really a problem that you had here? Or are you just mad at the time? But stop and think about the consequences on the shelter, not so much us as people, but the animals that you're hurting.
Right.
It's not so much, yeah, you may hurt our feelings or whatever, but it's only the animals that you're hurting by
Right.
promoting bad publicity.
Well, like, okay, if you don't like me or you don't like someone here, that's fine, but do think about these animals. That's the
Yes.
important part. Man, that's so tough. Um, I lost my track here. I apologize. Um, so you've mentioned it a few times as we've been talking. There's a new puppies for parole program.
Yes.
Explain that to me.
I had been trying to get us into that program since I started volunteering there. Moberly Prison is a male's prison. They have a puppies for parole program. I'd reached out to them numerous times. Chillicothe's prison is the female prison. They have the puppies for parole, and within the last 2 months, we got accepted into their program. They had solely used Livingston County over at Chillicothe
Hmm.
because that's the county they're located in. But they've started branching out because we said, hey, this would be a great thing for us. They take about 12 dogs at a time total. That's from all the shelters that
Hmm.
they use. The dogs are in the program for 8 to 12 weeks usually. They're 90% of their dogs when they come out are um I mean, they're all leash trained. They're most potty trained because they actually stay in the cell with the
Hmm.
prisoners. They're in a special housing unit, and they have to, have great behavior to be able to be in the program to handle dogs and stuff. And then they have a whole outside yard that they run in. But these dogs come back knowing basic commands. Like I said, potty trained.
Hmm.
um,
And
you're
it's from
basically
the inmates working with them,
it is
right?
from the inmates, and we actually went over and did a tour of the facility and got to talk to a lot of these women and see them handling the dogs and stuff. And it's an eye opener for people who've never been inside
Hmm.
the prison. It is those women do a wonderful job handling. I talked to one lady, and she had been handling dogs for 17 years there. Do I care what she's in there for or how
Hmm.
long but it made me stop and think, you've just been doing the dogs for 17 years. It takes several years before they even allow them to handle
Hmm.
the dogs because they have to prove good behavior and stuff.
Right.
But not only is it a good thing for the prisoners because it gives them something to do, those who are going to be there for a long time, but it is so beneficial to our adopters of the dogs because, like I said, you're for 100, the puppies for parole is $150 for an adoption.
Hmm.
That's the only one that is a little higher because we donate $25 back to their program so
Sure.
that they can buy supplies that they need. We provide all the dog food and um, all the medical care and stuff like that for all the animals that we send over. But there's other needs that they may have over there that we like to just donate to their programs. So
Yeah.
so they are 150, but you come out with a trained dog, it's spayed or neutered, and it's fully vaccinated. So
And so I actually went to a prison in Jeff City with a friend of mine, and he spoke at one of the chapel services. But as we were walking through the yard, I'd noticed there were some dogs that were kind of running around, and the inmates were with them, and they explained to me that the dogs would spend time there, and they were trained. And I will say, because I witnessed it firsthand, it does seem that it's like really good for the dog and good
yes,
for the inmate who's
it's
trying to, make a change
they
in their
are.
life.
And currently we have 3 dogs over there. This is our first batch that we took over. Um, one of our dogs is Charlie, who is he's a mix, hound type mix.
Hmm.
Sweetest guy, but he had the worst. When he come to us, he was skin and bones,
Mm.
and he is so shy. I mean, timid. He knew us. The only thing I found that he would not take treats even. Chicken nuggets was his
Oh.
kryptonite. He but even when you'd go to give him that, just cowered down, so shy and was abused. Charlie is actually the only one who we have 100% when he gets out, he's got a home to go to. We have 2 others that
Oh.
but Charlie's kinda when I took the dogs over, I loaded the kennels in the back, loaded 2 of the dogs in there. Charlie sat in the front seat beside me. I gave him a pep talk all the way over there about because he was very,
Hmm.
he knows me. I mean, was with him on a daily basis, but he's still so timid that you don't make any sudden motions. And gave him pep talk when the lady took the leash from me out in front to take him in because we didn't. They come and
Hmm.
met us out front at that point, and uh, when she took him, and I said, "Now you're going to do good, Charlie." I could feel the tears welling up I had no idea the connection I had with
Oh
him
man.
until that point. I had to turn around and look away. And I turned around just as he was walking in, and he just was walking in just like he knew exactly what he was supposed to be doing. It was like sending your kid off to college almost. The tears just started falling down my
Yeah.
face. I'm like, I didn't realize how emotionally connected I was to him. And now I can't wait to see. They said he is still a little timid, but he's doing much better.
Yeah.
I keep in communication with him
I was
every.
gonna say, will you get to see Charlie again
Oh
before he
yes,
goes?
yes, I will. I will. And the family he's going to is out of Rothville area, and I'm like, I can't wait for them to meet and
Oh,
to
okay.
finally. But we do still have Chip, who will probably need to go to a home that doesn't have kids, not because he doesn't like kids, but since he's been over there, they said he can be a little nippy at times. Not
Mm.
so much, not bite, but I don't know. He never was like that before at the shelter. He was very
Hmm.
loving, never had problems, but I don't know exactly what's going on with him over there yet.
Yeah.
Um, and then we have Cooper, who is the funniest looking. He's about this tall. He looks like a um, basset hound mix of some sort. Got legs about this long, but he is apparently everyone's favorite over
Oh, really?
there. Yes, and that he is the most athletic. I said if anybody needed an obstacle course dog for legs this long, he can jump so high.
That's fun. What was
It-
his name?
His name's Cooper.
Cooper.
Yeah. And he's been there. He was at the shelter for a little over a year already. So we have to be careful. They don't take any pit bull
Okay.
over there. The prison in Moberly does, but we haven't yet got into their program. And we do have a lot of pit. We have some beautiful full blood pits out at
Hmm.
the shelter. The pit mixes they will take.
Well, and I just want to say this real quick about pits because I owned a pit for a while, and the absolute sweetest dog.
No.
Very intimidating to look at. He was
Yes.
muscular. He could drag me around on a walk. But man, the sweetest dog, and it's just how they're raised.
It 100% is. I mean, we've had some what little yippy dogs that have been way more vicious than our pit bull dogs.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what it is with sometimes with real small dogs. They have like this incredible sense of like no fear.
no, no, and they think they're just as big as the rest of the dogs. And I mean, we had a pit that was kind of our door greeter out front at the shelter. He was left up front in the kennels because he
Mhm.
did so well with everybody. Somebody brought in a little dog one time, and that little dog went over. He was in his cage because we knew this smaller dog was coming in. Just yip, 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 right at. I thought, boy, buddy, you don't have any idea.
No, you get beat up quick. My dog's super playful, and our neighbors have a big dog in the yard, and my dog Champ just wants to play with everybody,
yeah.
every dog. He didn't understand that not every dog wants to play like that, so he approached that dog with that kind of like playful energy, wanted to spin circles, jump on him, and that dog was much bigger and wasn't having it, and quickly pinned Champ down. But I've got great neighbors, and we separated them, but it was scary.
It is scary. We've had that happen at the shelter numerous times. That's why we like the fenced in area out back with the gate down the middle, because you don't always, when a dog comes in, you don't know what their personality is going to be. And that way you can kind of test them with other dogs, put one on one side, one on
Mhm.
the other to see if there's going to be any
Yeah.
friction with the new dogs.
And sometimes as they're around each other, that goes away.
Well, it
Like,
does. They do warm up. And that's something else. We get several people who adopt. We always tell them if they have other dogs, bring them out, meet
mhm.
the animals, but they'll give it 3 weeks for a dog who's been in the shelter a year or more, and they're like, well, this just isn't going to work. It takes a dog a minimum of 3 months, especially when they've been in the shelter that long.
Mhm.
Even if they're just in there 6 months, it takes them a minimum of 3 months to learn how to be a dog at home. They may not have, they didn't necessarily always do anything wrong at these people's house. They just, well, it's his personality's just not working out or whatever. Them dogs have to decompress. You put you in a cell for, I mean, even though they can go inside and outside, they're in a fairly confined area and they do get walked once in a while, but put yourself in that situation. If
Right.
you're in a confined area for 6 months, a year, you're going to need a lot of decompressed
Yeah.
time in the real
And
world.
you really need to have a plan for that, like how you're going to introduce them, let them spend time together slowly, but at the same time have the ability to keep them separated. And then you have to make sure you have time to devote to all that.
And yes, because puppies are wonderful, and you can get puppies at Walmart for free in the parking lot, or Tractor Supply for free in the parking lot, and they're so cute. But
Hmm.
puppies grow up,
Yeah.
and people don't take the time to stop and think. Or dogs are almost more care than a child. They don't ever grow up to where they can let themselves
Mm.
in and out for the bathroom. I mean, they need daily
Yes.
care.
Well, and I'm not going to act like my dog's like the best well-trained dog ever, but he is really good. And people will ask, like, how did your dog, is he so like friendly, calm? He listens to you, he does what he says, but he's with me all day,
Yeah,
every single day. And that makes a huge difference.
it
Rather than you
does.
just have a dog and keep him in a kennel or let him run around outside all day, and then you try to spend an hour with him, it's not going to yield the same results.
That's not, and that's where we get a lot of our animals, because people got them as puppies because they're so cute, and then they got a little bigger and they either turned them loose because they didn't want to deal with them, or once in a while we are available to take in,
Yeah.
to actually take from people rather than just the city. So
So that's a really cool program you guys have got going on. Are there any other like community programs you have, or like things you're thinking about trying, or?
I've started, it's kitten season. I've started taking kittens out to life care, try to do it about once a
Oh,
week. I'm going to reach out to the other nursing homes locally to see, just because animal therapy, and I've taken puppies as well. Animal therapy is so good for the people in the nursing home, and or they may have had a pet, but of course you can't bring your
mm-hmm.
pet to stay with you there. And so, that really does their heart good for me to take animals in out there. And a couple times when we've done that, they've been adopted by staff
Uh-huh.
that are there, and we'd like to see more of that. Anytime people, even businesses, if you're interested in us bringing in kittens or dogs or whatever, we'd be more than happy to do that. Because that's any any good publicity like that to get our name out there, because you would be surprised of all the people who don't even realize that we have a shelter or
Mm-hmm.
where the shelter. All the time people is like, well, where's the shelter? Well,
Yeah.
we didn't even know we had a shelter. And to me, of course, since I was a kid, I've always known there.
Right out there.
Yeah, well, it wasn't always out there. Used to be some kennels out here by the water
Right.
district. And I, because my dog was lost as a child, and we went out there, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is terrible,
Mm-hmm.
and now we have a very nice facility compared to a lot of facilities, but we need a lot of updates.
It's came a long way, but it it requires so much work
It does.
because if you've got 50 animals in there, 40 animals, the wear and tear on every single hinge, door, gate, floor, I mean, it's every single day it's just getting beat up.
It is. And our cats, we have very nice stainless steel kennels for them. They're not as hard to, but you've got dogs that just chew on the fencing all the time, just because they're nervous in there. They're scared. This is new
Mm-hmm.
to them, or just the daily wear and tear, like you said, is the upkeep is an incredible amount that people don't think about.
Yeah. And I just don't think people realize either that it's not like state funded or you're not getting a ton of money from. And when you say that the towns are giving you guys money, it is not very much money. So,
No, it doesn't really cover the cost of the
right.
amount of animals that we take in.
Um, so what do you wish that, well, you kind of just broke it down for me, but what do you really wish people understood about the shelter?
Um, Main thing is we're there to help the community as much as we can, but we are there for the animals first and foremost. So spaying and neutering your animals is
Mm-hmm.
so important. And like I said before, puppies and kittens are wonderful. They're so cute, but stop and think about what you're going to do when you have 6 to 10 in a litter. What are you going to do with them after they're getting big enough to be away from mom and dad? We want to support the community as much as we can, but first and foremost, the animals come.
Yeah, and I think as a pet owner, you really need to have a conversation with yourself or your spouse or significant other, whoever, and think through that animal's life throughout the day. And as far as, are you with it all day long? Is it just running around? Is it, you know, confined with another animal? And based on the answers to those questions, you really need to think about having it spayed or neutered, because taking care of these animals is a real
It is.
full-time job.
It is, and it's expensive, and a lot of people don't think about that either. The
Mm-hmm.
cost of dog food just in the last 5 years has,
Oh my
I,
gosh.
I mean, my pets are spoiled, but I know how much more it costs me now than it did 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen that come through. They adopt, and then they're like, well, we didn't realize it was going to cost us much to feed them, and they come back. We do have some extra supplies. We allow 1 gallon of food a week per family. We've got a table out there that is stuff that was either Tractor Supply closed out of some things
Mm-hmm.
and gave us some that we couldn't use for various reasons, that we try to keep extra out there. But we also have to use as much as we can to
Mm-hmm.
save us money to get by. But, if there's a situation where you absolutely can't afford to go get dog food and we can't take them in, then we do try to help out the community in that
Yeah.
way.
I mean, that's just there's so much to think through when you're thinking about taking on a dog.
There is.
Um, we talked about, people how they can donate, and I think that's really cool. They can just go through Facebook and do that. Are you accepting like volunteers?
We always take volunteers. We like for you to call
Hmm.
let us know that you're coming, because we have some volunteers that are there kind of on a scheduled basis. They're there every week
Mm.
and stuff like that. Um, we need dog walkers all the time. I
Hmm.
mean, because like I said, there's no way we have four full time or four employees that are not full time, but they can't take every dog out when you've got 26 dogs, 27
Oh
dogs.
yeah.
There's no way you can walk them all in a day's time.
Okay, so
So
that's really cool. And then we also mentioned that they can just foster
they
a
can
dog
foster. You can.
or cat.
And we like to have foster failures. We've had some of those, what we call foster failures. They foster an animal and they're like, I can't make this animal
Mm.
go back to the shelter,
Yeah,
So we call that a foster failure.
that's a win. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, and you can come and, like I said, foster them for the weekend, foster them for a couple weeks. You can say we want to foster for a month or foster till we can help find this dog. And that when somebody's fostering, that animal's getting used to people
Hmm.
more. They also promote that dog on their Facebook page. The adoption still comes through the shelter, but they get word out. Maybe they've got a friend out of state or somewhere that's like, oh my gosh, I would love to have that dog. And then,
Mm.
but they didn't see it on our Facebook page because they don't even live in the same state. So,
Right.
that just gets the word out more when they're
Well,
that
that's
way.
the next thing I was going to say. If somebody wanted to help, they can just spread the word. You guys have been way more active on your social media, and I was just scrolling through, looking at all the dogs and the things that you guys are doing. If people just simply share your content, that can help you guys in a big way. And
It can. We had a bird dog who she was a pointer, full blood pointer. Um, I don't remember the situation of how she got there. She was brought in by animal control or what. She actually went to Arkansas. I got her posted on Facebook. Um, Somebody shared it, and the guy drove up from Arkansas to get this dog.
mm-hmm.
He fell in love with her when he seen her on there and came that far. So I mean, our outreach with Facebook is nationwide.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're ever scrolling through and you see a post from the animal shelter, make sure you go like their page, one, but share those puppies, share those dogs, share the fundraisers they're doing. It's just really cool. I wanted to talk real quick, and maybe you could tell me the story. I saw there was a girl who just had a lemonade stand,
Oh yes.
and she raised like 350 bucks or 400
Yes.
bucks. I don't know, but tell me that. How'd that come to be?
She apparently does the lemonade stand every year, and she does it for a charity.
Hmm.
This year, her mom reached out to me and said we'd like to do for the animal shelter. I said, oh, awesome. I'll promote it as much as I can on Facebook and stuff. This was her biggest year.
Mm.
She made more this year than she ever
Oh
had.
wow.
The mother wanted to make sure that I could be there, so I went. She came to bring me the check on last Wednesday, the little girl did, and she was so tickled. We got her picture taken. I took her. She met each animal personally and gave them treats. And
Oh.
it's important. Adults, when they donate to the shelter, they kind of know what they're doing.
Hmm.
Kids, yes, they know that they're helping the animals, but when you take the time to personally give them a tour and let them meet the animals
Hmm.
that they're helping, I think it's more meaningful to them. And I think kids need that. When you're her age, they need to know I gave this money and it's helping these
Yeah.
specific animals. And maybe she'll tell her friend, and her friends will be like, oh, well, I want to make some money so I can come out
Exactly.
and meet the animals and
So,
stuff.
I mean, just that's so cool. Shout out to that little girl. That's like an entrepreneur spirit, and you're doing community service, and that's awesome. And I just wanted to make sure I brought
Yes,
that
I'm
up.
glad you did, because we need more of that. Kids need stuff like that. They need
Well,
to understand what, that it's good to give and volunteer and stuff.
and I'm sure people are watching thinking, well, the animal shelter is important and it's needed, but maybe they don't really know how they can get involved. Or, I mean, you there's ways you can come up with something. Look at this little girl, and she had a lemonade stand and raised all that money. That's that's just so
Yeah,
cool.
and that doesn't sound $350 maybe doesn't sound like a lot to somebody, but it is a ton to
Yeah,
us,
that's a lot of
you know.
supplies.
Yeah, it's amazing, and like I said, with the kids especially, I try to over give them kudos
Uh-huh.
for because, like I said, it's important. Not enough kids anymore, it seems like, or know about the donation and
Yeah,
how important it is to volunteer in your community.
right.
Period.
Yeah, and that's just something that they've got to see and witness as they grow up,
Yes,
how one small act can create such a ripple effect of good things, but they've got to see it, and then I think that's really on us as, people in the community and adults to make sure they all get that chance, that opportunity.
it is.
Um,
Glad you brought that up.
so what's the biggest need out there right now?
We are always need our biggest need today is cat litter because like I said, we have so many kittens and cats
Hmm.
right now. It's kitten season. We've been running specials the last few weeks on animals. We have moved a few, but weirdly, we've been moving adult cats and not kittens. And
Huh.
usually people are always, "Oh, we want kittens. Do you
Hmm.
have any kittens?" Well, we have tons of kittens
Oh,
right now, and we're moving adult cats. It's weird, but
that's weird.
cat litter would be the biggest need this week.
Hmm.
As of every week there seems, I'll ask the girls, what are we in need of and stuff. But it also a good thing is like a Walmart gift card. If
Okay.
um some people do that, or an Amazon gift card a lot for us, and that way when we need something, we just go and
Hmm.
get it. And you'll see on our
Because
page,
the needs change.
it does. Every week it's something different. This week we may need bleach. Next week, or like I said, cat litter, bleach,
Hmm.
laundry soap. We go through a lot of laundry soap. People don't think about that.
Oh man.
Yeah. There's it changes because we get a lot of donations, but we never know what we're gonna get. So
Yeah. Um, what what's the future look like for the shelter? Like, is in your opinion, what if you could see it in 5 years? How's it going to look?
you want my dream or
Well,
no,
give us both.
no. Um right now we have a really good board who's very driven. Um we're I see a lot of good things because, like I said, when I started, you had to rob Peter to pay Paul. We've got a bunch of people who are very interested in fundraising.
Hmm.
We've got we've gained on our donors so much in the last 3 years. We have so many more donors that we can take a sigh of relief at the
Hmm.
end of every month when we can pay all our bills and pay all our employees, not that they didn't get paid before, but comfortably, and the animals are taken care of. um I want to see a lot more outreach, community outreach programs. Like I said, the my big thing I want to push for is the basic obedience classes. um the reaching out to the businesses and stuff. What employee doesn't want to see an animal? Most
Hmm.
most people, that just make their day for us to bring a few animals through. But I think as far as the shelter overall and the care the animals and are getting, it has improved so much, and I can only see bigger things where if we can stay financially comfortable, like
Hmm.
we can pay everybody right now, then I have big dreams and big hopes
Yeah.
for my interim president job. That
With the your interim without an N, possibly.
yeah, possibly.
So what would help, you think, as a whole, get more adoptions? So I know that's a tough question,
It
but
is, and we've tried multiple ways. Everybody said, "Well, why don't you just give them away?" Or, if
mm,
somebody's interested, why don't you just give them free? We've had people who come and donate an adoption fee. They say, "I want to pay the adoption fee for this dog," but that's usually not something we tell them up front because, weirdly enough, maybe it sounds weird, but in my mind, if you can't afford to pay a $50 adoption fee, like we've ran a special the last two
mhm,
weeks, $50 for the dogs. Um, if you can't afford the $50 up front, as we just talked about, animals are expensive.
Yeah.
It worries me that how are you going to afford to continue the vet care this animal requires, the food that this animal requires in the
Right.
future? And I know it's kind of a double-edged sword there, but we want to know that the animal's going to be taken care of. We don't want to
Mhm.
give dogs away and their application, the adopter's application may look great, but if we're giving them away, what if they're just taking them to go put in a fighting ring or to train other dogs to fight?
Mhm.
Because you've seen that happen at shelters at some
Mhm.
point. They, are giving dogs away, or even people who give dogs away on the street.
Mhm.
People are seeing that on Facebook, and not everybody's as warm-hearted and stuff as we are about animals, and that's something you have to be really careful about too, is
Yeah.
and I, like I said, it's a double-edged sword, but if you got $50 to pay for the dog now, and of course we send him home with some food and stuff like that, but I need to know that you can financially care for the dog the way it needs to,
Well,
so it don't end up back with us at the
right.
shelter.
Because there has to be an understanding that the dog's probably going to cost you hundreds of dollars a month. I mean, by the time you have food and bedding care, vet bills, toys, I mean, all these things that go into taking care of it, um, that initial upfront fee makes a ton of sense. I mean, you're kind of weeding out anyone who really is just, they see the puppy and they just want it right now, and
Right.
maybe they really can't take care of it.
And that happens a lot, and that's how they end up with us. And I'm not saying you gotta give our animals a luxurious lifestyle.
Mm.
I'm not expecting them all to be spoiled, but basic care is so expensive. I mean, even with cats, it's the same way. And our adoption fee's $40. We've been running $25 special. Like I said, I've told you what the cost for 3 months at the shelter is for a dog. Every animal has to be spayed or neutered. We cannot adopt out
Hmm.
animals that are not spayed and neutered. Now, the kittens obviously aren't old enough, and the puppies, but we have to have an appointment on the books for those animals. So, yes, we understand we're losing money by doing that, but our goal, we're there for the animals, not there for the money.
Certainly.
And as long as everyone continues to donate, we're able to do that.
Yeah. That's just a ton to think through. It
It
really
it's
is.
there's a lot. There's way more to it than I ever knew, until
Hmm.
I became involved. And sometimes when I volunteer for stuff, I pour my whole heart into it and let that consume a lot of my time, maybe more so than I should. But when I volunteer or if I do something, I want to do it to 100%. And
Yeah.
I want great things for the shelter.
Well, just listening to you talk, and like I said, and some of the employees have came in here, and I know them. It's a ton of good people
Eh,
with good hearts and good intentions. So I certainly hate it when I see people being frustrated online, because you guys are there only to help and serve.
Right. And yeah, I hope everyone understands that.
Yeah.
We don't like to tell anybody no, and we know there's extenuating circumstances where you have to get rid of an animal,
Hmm.
and it, we hate, but like I said, our option is, do we start euthanizing animals to make room for your animals?
Right.
I mean, if people would stop and think about it in that aspect, maybe they wouldn't get so
Right.
upset.
Slow down, take a breath.
Yeah.
So, we always have a say it with your chest segment. This is your opportunity to, whatever it is about this topic, whatever, that you are just 100% behind, full steam ahead. What is something you want people to know?
I want people to spay and neuter their animals. That's probably our biggest problem, not just in this county. It's a nationwide problem.
Hmm.
They're euthanizing 300 dogs a week in the Kansas City metro area. Um, yeah, when you think about that in perspective, that's crazy. Um, because that's every week. That's not,
Yeah.
that's not just an occasional, that's every week.
Right.
But here, you know, we're working on some programs to help people with the cost of spay and neuter. Hoping to get that out sometime here in the next month. But that's going to help our problem of shelter overcrowding more than anything. Spay and neuter. And sometimes accidents happen, the animals, you have an appointment, but something happens before you get there. We get that. But, we have people who bring in time and time again their litters, and it gets we get just as frustrated with that as the people who are trying to bring us
Sure.
animals in. But also donate, volunteer. Volunteer is, you know, 30 minutes a day. Come out, sit outside an animal's cage, give it a treat, talk to it.
Mm-hmm.
That that helps the animal get used to other people and keeps them from going kennel crazy as much, because even though we want to have the time, we don't have the time for every single animal every single day.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how, an employee can spend significant amount of time with every animal every single day
You just
to
can't.
make it feel loved and special. It's it's impossible.
And like I said, it's not all butterflies and rainbows. There's been many days the tears have flown, not for good reasons, but more days that tears have flown because an animal that we've loved, come to
Mm-hmm.
love has gotten a wonderful home. I mean, there's times like I told you about Charlie, you don't even realize how attached you are till they're walking out the door with their new family. About makes me tear up now. And, you're like, we did that.
Yeah.
We've worked with the animal, we fed the animal and cared for it until it could get a new
Yeah.
home.
And that's got to be rewarding,
It is.
man. You have some notes there. Is there anything that is on there that we need to
I
make sure we
think
touch on?
I think we pretty well got everything covered. I probably went ahead of you at times.
No, I loved hearing about it. As an animal lover, I love what you guys are doing. Anyone watching, listening, share this, share the animal shelters content on social media. Try to get involved. Just be of service and think of all the things you can do. You could decide to create some sort of fundraiser yourself and raise money like that little girl did, or as simple as making a small donation. Through their Facebook page, you can do the Square app,
Mhm.
which is a small monthly donation, which could help with food and vet bills and all sorts of things. You could volunteer your time just to hang out with the animals, or take them home for a weekend and let them play and run around. So, ton of ways you can get involved, and I'm really glad you took the time out of your day to
Well,
come
thank
on
you.
and talk about the shelter. um, I just hope that more people understand how it works, how much it's funded by just donations and giving of people, and maybe they'll get involved as well.
I hope so, and I know it's a lot of information. I'm so passionate about it. Like I said, I want to tell so much about the shelter, so I hope I didn't overwhelm anybody.
No, this
but
is
but there's a lot of things people don't think about that
for
I wanted to
sure.
sure get out there, and we appreciate you having us.
Well, thank you so much. That's going to do it for us. That stuff matters. Make sure you go follow the Lynn County Animal Shelter. See you guys.